Okay. That's right. Okay, we'll start over again. Welcome everyone to the September 16th, 2020 Charter Commission meeting. Can we please have a roll call?
Russell Hansen.
I'm here. Good morning.
Morning, Russ.
Thomas Krabenoft.
Tom, can you hear us?
Here.
Mark Voxland. Julian Dahlquist.
I am here.
Eldon Wallman.
Here.
Corey Delorme.
Here, it's Delorme.
Delorme, thank you.
Yep.
Athena
Basic.
Graysick, thank you. Dave Setterquist. Joel Reeder. And Jim Steen.
Here. Well, welcome everyone. It's been a while since we met, thanks to this whole COVID thing, and we haven't been able to meet here, especially at county council chambers, and I guess we're not today, but we are going to do the best we can at a virtual meeting. First of all, I want to address the agenda just slightly and go over it with the members that are here. We were going to have our annual meeting in December and to cover the election of officers because that's the way it looked in the bylaws, but when we dug a little deeper, it says it has to be the first meeting of the year, and technically this will be the first meeting of the year. If that's what the commission wants to do, or if you want to wait till December, we'll hear feedback from that from all of you. Since there's only a few months left, it doesn't matter to me. But if we do that because of the virtual thing, I would prefer to do it at the end of the meeting. So anybody have any comments on that? The thing would be if we didn't do something today, it would probably be breaking our bylaws, which I don't know the consequences of that would be. But otherwise, if you're fine for the next two meetings, we could hear a motion just to retain the officers as is until the 2021 annual meeting or December annual meeting, whatever anybody wants to do here. Maybe we can have a meeting in December. I'm not sure yet, so it'll depend on. So any motion or anything on that?
Well, I think we should probably elect officers as stated in the bylaws, even if that's renaming the existing positions, but I think we should probably name them since it is the first meeting of the year.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a first and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor. This is a little, sometimes we do either say aye or raise your hand. I guess since it's a virtual meeting, that'll work. And I can take aye. Okay.
Aye.
Any opposing? I see none. So motion will pass, and I guess with that, we'll retain the officers. Corey, did you, I mean, maybe we need to clarify it just a little bit until the December meeting or until the January, our first meeting of next year?
I was thinking until January, the first meeting of next year, since this is the initial meeting of this year, re-elect the officers as they are, and then hopefully in January with a more traditional meeting, we could elect officers for the following year.
Okay, and that's the way I took it, and I hope everybody else took it the same way, so. Okay, next item on our agenda is to approve the minutes of the June 19th, 2019 minutes. Has everybody had a chance to look at those? And if so, a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
And that was Tom that seconded that. Any discussion?
Yes, sir.
Oh, excuse me? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Minutes are approved. Yeah, this is a little different for me too, as far as virtual meetings, but reports of the chairs, officers, commissions, and committees. Do we have any reports from the officers or commission meeting members? Seeing none, we can move into the public comment section. Anybody that's listening in that wants to weigh in on any items that are on the agenda or not on the agenda? Okay. I don't see Mark's. Can you, if you're not speaking, can I ask you to mute your microphone? Okay. Oh, Mark, would you like to say something, please? Please unmute your microphone. I see your hand is raised. Mark, can you hear me? I'm not, sorry, Mark, I'm not able to hear you. Okay. Okay.
Would you like us to do a test, Jim?
Well,
Can you?
I can hear you, Bill.
Okay, well, that's the test. I see Russ unmuted his mic. Maybe you can hear him too, so.
Okay. Mark, can you hear us now? I'm sorry. We still can't hear you, Mark, if you're trying to speak. Okay. Public comment. I see we'll close that unless there's somebody else that wants to speak or dial in, and I see none right at this minute. Unfinished business, I have none. So we'll go right into the new business, and there should be a statement related to the declared conflict of interest with the city attorney's office. Is that something that we will be reading here?
Yes.
Okay.
So, excuse me, I apologize for that. So this was received, it looks like March 14th, to be read at the meeting from the Moorhead City Attorney. Upon review of the proposed actions or charter amendments that would be required regarding agenda items 3, 4, and 5, the Moorhead City Attorney determined that he and his office had a conflict for the following reasons. Item 2 would require the city attorney to prepare a charter amendment that would impact both the legal authority of both the Moorhead City Council and the Moorhead Public Service Commission. As a result, it is appropriate to have an external attorney provide advice to the Charter Commission on this issue. With respect to item 3, reductions in the water and electric utility transfer rate may have serious impacts on, number 1, the amount of general property taxes collected by the city, 2, the previous negotiated transfer agreements between MPS and the city, and 3, MPS utility bond issues previously issued by the city on behalf of MPS. Please note that since MPS is not a separate political subdivision, the city must issue bonds for MPS as per the charter. The city attorney also serves as bond counsel for the city, so charter amendments relating to the water and electric utility transfer can have implications for both the Moorhead City Council and Moorhead Public Service Commission. As a result, it is appropriate to have an external attorney provide advice to the Charter Commission on this issue. Finally, a charter amendment relating to city council member per diems directly relates to city council member reimbursement for city council member attendance at meetings outside of the city of Moorhead and is intended to reimburse city council members for mileage and other expenses incurred while attending other required meetings. As a result, working on such an amendment would place the city attorney in a potential conflict with the city council.
Thank you. And to move on to that, our next item would be basically what happened back earlier this year with the appointment of an elected official to the Moorhead Public Service Commission. And just a little history on that. Well, I'm going to read this, and this goes way back. I mean, more than a century. In 1896, the council passed a resolution which said, in part, whereas it is necessary in order to furnish light and water at a minimum cost, that such plant be run strictly on business and be entirely removed from the influence of city politics. Therefore, it be resolved by the Council of the City of Moorhead that the offices of the Superintendent of Light and Water are hereby established. The Commission has a long history of serving autonomously, and they have adhered to sound business principles, keeping rates competitive with other private utilities, and at the same time providing the city with a very generous transfer of, I think in 2020, it was projected just about $9.7 million. So the intent from the beginning, the way it looks, I mean, from everything I've read, is that it was important from the beginning to keep politics out of the MPS. And therefore, one of the reasons I think it was set up with their terms of eligibility for their commissioners is they are on 3-year terms, which in a sense can keep it rotating. It's not in succession or even up with our elected officials' terms. So there's always, can always be a change, and there can always be no undue influence to the commission, because there are always, each ward has 2 members, and they can be replaced every 2 years, where the commissioners are every 3 years. So that overlap kind of helps in that situation. So, you know, with that, I think the intent is to try to keep the politics out of it as much as they can. In order to, and last year there was kind of a perfect storm as far as replacing commissioners. Two of them, I believe, resigned, and one by the ward's decision was not to replace that commissioner and appoint a council person. again, that's not, I don't believe myself, the intent of keeping the politics out of it. They are, I'm going to go to this, they are incompatible offices. And I'm going to go to the League of Minnesota Cities handbook here. It states, however, without specific statutory authority, that to me would mean the charter, government officials cannot hold more than one position if the functions of the positions are incompatible. And seeing that from the attorney that I talked to, said there's no doubt that these are incompatible offices. That being said, to me, causes a problem with the council, because the consequences, also from the League of Minnesota Cities, anybody that wants these items from the League of Minnesota Cities, we can get them sent to you. But I'll read it here. However, when an official qualifies for a second or incompatible position by taking an oath or filing a bond, he or she automatically resigns from the first position, which then becomes vacant. So the way I read that, this council person would be automatically resigned from that council position. Since we don't have an attorney, and this is just what the attorney I contacted gave me all this information, you know, this is just what I'm reading, and it's something I think that should be delved into a little more diligently. I believe, which can cause a problem. So if this council person in the last few months has made a motion or seconded a motion, is that motion qualified? I mean, I don't know. Without an attorney representing us exactly, you know, I'll step it back a little bit. I was very fortunate enough to contact an attorney that would do some of this research for us, you know, without being paid. But it does cause a problem. And so with that, I would love, I mean, this has just been my opinion, to be honest, and I've heard from citizens, I've heard from other boards that they would like us to take a look at it. And I guess I am bringing this to the rest of the commission for your opinion. I'd love some feedback on what you think we should do, should not do. Are we okay with this? Do we need to clarify something? It's unfortunate that they left us out of this discussion when they decided to do that, but right now I would love to hear anybody's opinion. Can I get a little feedback from anyone?
Yeah, I would, well, I think me personally, I definitely would love to see all of that information, including, you know, the statement that was just read, as well as some of the information that was discovered by that attorney, because I don't nearly have the information to try to form an opinion on this. It certainly doesn't sound like it was following the intent of the commission, but without reviewing all of that information, I can't say for sure. So yeah, my opinion would be to continue to gather information and have time to look at it and see where there are any potential conflicts.
And thank you, Coy, for that. And I agree. This needs, I think it needs something we do dig into a little bit more. The fact that we couldn't meet really hurt things, because if there was going to be any change to the charter, I believe it's 90 days before the next election that it can get put on any type of a ballot. So I mean, we already have missed this election cycle. So I guess we would have time to dig into it a little bit more, but we need to look at this, I think, from how they say 30,000 feet. And maybe this council person is a great fit and would do a great job on there. I'm not saying that, but 10 years down the road, 20 years down the road, 30 years down the road, from what I read from the history of the MPS, it was supposed to remain non-political. If 10 years from now, 20 years from now, they decide to completely fill that commission with council people, to me, that gets political. So I think it was set up originally very well. Our past commission has done a tremendous job. They ran it as a business. All the people that I know that served on that, all the awards they got for water, our electric rates up until the point where our transfer got higher were very reasonable, and our reliability on our electric rates. I have an office over in Fargo, and I don't have enough fingers to count the time we lose power over there during a year. And in my home in Moorhead, in the last 18 years, I can count on one hand maybe. So it has worked well in the past, and I'd hate to see that go away. That's my opinion on that. But again, thank you, Corey. I think you're right. We need to dig into this more. I and a few other of the commissioners will be done now in a couple of months. We will be termed out. So we look into the rest of you that are still on this charter commission. If it's your will, if somebody wants to make a motion that we do investigate this more and figure out how we can investigate it. Can we hire an attorney? According to what I've looked into, the most that can be allotted to us, unless the city decides to allot more, is $1,500, and I don't know how far that'll take us with an attorney. But any other comments? I want feedback from everybody if I can.
Yes, Chairman Steen, Tom Kravinoff here. I agree too that, possibly retaining an attorney for this is not a bad, if you could get the gentleman that looked into this, because I'd like to see if there's precedents with other cities that have done something like this, or if there's, if this has been done before with other cities or how they went about it. I guess I would like to see, if we're following a trend, or if this is just something that Moorhead did alone, or, I guess I'd like to look at everything.
Okay, and thank you, Tom. And that has been pointed out to me by council people and the mayor and others, that it has been done in other cities. And
Then we should have had that.
Yeah,
It would have been nice to have the information before the meeting, so we could have, viewed that, I guess.
But the fact is, we don't know what their charter states. You can tell me that Mankato does it, Holly does it, whatever does it, but I don't know what their charter says. And if we allow this, maybe, and maybe it's fine, maybe it's okay, maybe the rest of the commission think this is fine, but then, my opinion, then our charter should acknowledge that, or not acknowledge, or acknowledge the fact that we do want it or don't want it.
Well, and for me, this is the first time, and I've been here, I think I believe in the longest serving charter member. For us not to have legal counsel is hamstrings us virtually. This is the first meeting I've ever been to where we don't have legal counsel. So I think we definitely need to, step in that direction.
Yes, I agree. Any other opinions out there? So with that, again, suggestions, please. And I guess
Well, it looks like Joel was trying to say something. Joel, can't hear you.
I apologize, I can't see Joel on my screen. if he is talking, he's muted, so. Joel, can you hear us?
Yeah, he can hear us, but we can't hear him. I don't know, maybe the chat section, if that would work to type something, Joel?
Or maybe call in, you know, along with your, because we can see you.
I can see you now, Joel, but can you hear us? Oh, this is, Well, Joel, I know you want to say something, and I don't know if the chat section is available to you, and I don't know if somebody can turn it on. Yeah, you can use hand language. Okay. And Chris, I can't see the chat section on my screen, if that's something you can. Okay. I can see it, and I'll read Joel's response. Joel, well, it went away on me. Chris, can you pop that up again? I agree with Corey and Tom. I would want all information we can get to make the best decision. That was from Joel Rader. So that's another good, if you can find the chat section on your computer, if we can't hear you, please type something in, and I'll keep an eye on that also. So again, I don't know, I'm going to refer to Dan Molly on this, acting city manager. What can we do about legal representation? Any ideas on your end?
Well, there's the 1,500, and I think the recommendation would go to the council to request the 15. And so I can check on that and get back to you.
Okay, and like I said, I'm not sure how far 1,500 will get us on something like this. I know our city attorney, Mr. Shockley, has recused himself. Okay. So.
Yeah, let me do some research and get back to you.
Okay, and could you do that and then make sure it's sent out to all the commissioners?
Certainly.
Please. I see something from Mark on that chat. I have 3 different devices and I'm not able to communicate. We can see your chat, Mark. I know this is frustrating. This is not a good way to hold a meeting in my book, but Mark, if maybe if you have a comment, I'd appreciate, can you type it in, please? Okay. Okay, so I guess for right now, like I said, this meeting is a little frustrating, and Mark apparently thinks so too. I think we need a motion to get an attorney and to at least research this issue a lot deeper. If that's the case, can I get a motion or from that, like that from somebody, or maybe, you know, a different type of motion, whatever?
I'll move in favor of it.
Okay. Russ Hanselin's in favor. Do I hear a second?
I will second.
And who was that? I didn't, was that? State your name, who seconded that, please, so we can get it in the minutes.
Krabbenhoft.
Okay, Tom, okay, sorry. Okay, so, I mean, with that, I don't know how much more we can dig into that, because there's a lot to go with that, and the next commission, you know, we can dig into it a little bit more next month, or in December, or I'd love to hear from everybody, too, if we think we need another meeting before December. We can do that, too. I'm pretty open to any suggestions. If we get that information back, maybe it would be a good idea to have another meeting before December, October, if we can get some information back by then, or first part of November. That would be awesome.
Yeah, Jim, I think that'll determine when we should meet again, is when we can get all the information and have time to review it, of course. And I would just say that we need to, when we are doing our own, you know, research and looking at this, look at it in how it impacts the charter. You know, I don't want to try to reach over into what MPS Commission is doing, but just as how it pertains to our mission here on the Charter Commission and how it affects Moorhead's charter.
Exactly, and our mission is not to constantly change the charter, but to protect the charter, and at times to maybe define the charter. And I think this might be one of those situations where maybe we need to define it. You know, what does it say, and what do we do with that information? So, any other comments or information on this? I see from Mark, December 16th, we were pretty deep into Christmas season. Maybe we should wait until January for the next meeting. Any other opinions on that? I mean, Mark, if you, maybe a little feedback from you too, if we can get the information back sooner than that, would you be okay with that, November? If not, I mean, January would be fine too. Just keep in mind, there'll be 4 of us, I believe, that will be leaving the commission at the end of January. So then we start in with a whole new crew. If that constitute a rush to do it or not, I guess the next commissioners will be able to tackle this too anyway, because I'm sure it'll go into that anyway, so.
Yes, I think there's a little bit of a time thing, because, you know, there is going to be so much of the charter that's going to overturn here in January that I'm afraid it's going to get swept by the wayside. I just want to go on record saying that I don't think that should happen, that I think it needs to be seriously looked at before then and after.
Okay. And just a question to Mark. I'm not sure what you meant, but remember our city clerk will be doing the elections. What did you mean by that?
I think Mayor Voxland's referring to the general election on November 3rd.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. But maybe later in November, and then we run into Thanksgiving, the holiday season too. But let's wait to see how quick we can get some information back. I will contact the attorney that started this to see if he will do some more work on it, unless Dan can figure something else out from the city. Maybe if the city, it sounds to me like, from what I've read, Mr. Shockley is, I don't know when he will finish his contract with the city. And if he's showing a contract or conflict with this, and maybe the new one the city hires too would have that same conflict. So maybe I am better off going to the legal source I went to earlier.
Yeah, correct. You know, there have been some other ideas. I mean, we have communities around here that where the attorney may be able to offer some advice. Detroit Lakes is one, Perham, Fergus Falls, Alexandria. There's a number of resources here where we might be able to get some assistance.
So I'll contact the one that gave me this information, and then maybe I could ask you, Dan, to see if any of those would be willing to step in for us, if that does work for the one I contacted.
We could do some checking on that if you'd like.
Okay. Is the rest of the commissioners okay with that?
Yes, I am.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. Anything else on that
I'm
item?
good with that, but I do think we have to implement some haste with the legal counsel for the benefit of the commissioners.
Okay, and I understand that, Tom. Again, yes, because there will be 4 of us that will be leaving, and I would think it would benefit the next commission that will be serving next year if we had laid a little groundwork for them. I think that's important. So I agree, Tom, and I think we'll try to get something going. Once we get the information back, we'll try to get something set up earlier if we can. So, anything else?
Hey, Jim, this
Do
is
I need a
Bill.
motion on that? Mark's asking for a motion for that.
Here.
Can I get a motion on what our plans are?
I'd like to propose that we immediately hire legal counsel to guide the charter commission.
Yes, I believe that's it in a nutshell. So, do I hear a second?
Second.
Second from Corey. Mark asked the question, so I got first and a second now for discussion. Mark asked the question, who would we hire? I think, again, Mark, that we'll try to get some feedback to, Dan will try to contact city attorneys from some other communities that would be willing to reach out to help us a little bit on this, or I can contact the person that gave me this original information. And then, yeah, I suppose we need a whole approval from the whole commission on who we would hire, unless the commission would leave that discretion up to the chair, or maybe an executive committee, which would be me, Vice Presidents Joel. Do we have a secretary? You know, if that's the case, if you wanted to do that, you could leave that up to the executive committee or the chair, or we could bring back a list of names at a next meeting. Do I hear any other comments on that?
Well, I think if you got somebody to do legwork on it already, and sounds like this person's got a pretty good grasp of, city politics and Minnesota, workings. I'm comfortable with what he's set up so far, I guess.
Okay.
Especially at the cost that he's charged already, which is nothing.
Yeah, well,
Mr. Chair, I have a question. This is Julian.
okay, Julian.
If I remember correctly, this is still really early for me in the day. The motion sounded like hiring legal counsel, and I'm wondering if we have the ability to do that. That's my question.
We do, and I have that paperwork someplace. It's .0, I'd have to dig into it, .07. There's a formula to figure out how much we can spend on one. We don't meet that, but it also says with a minimum of $1,500. So I know we're qualified for the $1,500, what we can spend for legal counsel, according to state statute. And that's state statute. That's not up to us. That's a state statute. I'll see if I can find it here. And I'll make sure, I will email out all this information, or have the city email out all this information that I've been reading, and I can find that too. If anybody can see, I've got lots of paperwork in there. And I know it's in there somewhere, and we went through that formula, and what the state statute says, we only qualify for $1,500, unless the council would allow us more.
Jim, I just want to make sure that you're seeing Mark is chatting. He's got some questions.
Mark says we should vote on the person. I would need to know who we are hiring, so vetting, it would have to be NIE to have the, nice to have that ahead of time, okay? So, I'm not disagreeing with you, Mark, I'm just wondering how the best way to do that. We would have to have another meeting shortly, because I'd have to contact this attorney to see if he's willing to continue with this, if to bring his name forward, or Dan would have to find somebody from one of the surrounding cities that would be willing to help us, and then get that name out to us. So I would, if that's the case, then we need, if you want to vet this person, then we would need to have another meeting as soon as we discover that. So maybe we could do, I think we could probably do that in a week's time. Maybe Dan can get an answer, if that's okay. And I see Mark's other comment, I don't see the rush, nothing can be voted on by public for 2 years. So, okay, so we've got some varying opinions on that. Mark doesn't see the rush, and that's a viable thing. Tom thinks we should lay some groundwork with this commission before the next commission takes hold. So we do have a motion on the table, and that is just to hire somebody. I guess that doesn't give us any timeline, does it? Unless it is Tom's motion, unless he would like to amend that in any way. Tom?
I do think there is haste. There's impropriety going on that violated the charter. I don't think it's good to kick the can down the road, in a non-haste situation. If there is something that violated the charter, it needs to be fixed or amended or rectified, sooner than later.
Okay. Well, with that, if you want to retain your motion as is, and we already have a second on it, and we're in the discussion stage, we can do that. We can try to get, if it's okay with everybody, if everybody would be available, say next week at this time, maybe we can get some information back by then, by a list of attorneys that would be willing to work on it. And that's not saying after that, at least we have somebody that's willing to work on it. And again, to Mark, that doesn't mean we're rushing it. It just means we're bringing names forward for vetting and approval. So, any other discussion before we take a motion or take a vote on Tom's motion?
Can we just have the motion read clearly? This is Julian again. Have the motion read clearly one more time before we vote on it.
I believe the motion is, do you have it, Christine? Okay, can you read it for us, please?
The motion is to immediately hire legal counsel to guide the charter, made by Thomas Krabenoft and second by Corey Delorme.
Okay, so that motion does go right to hiring. So let's finish that motion. So let's take a vote on that. Unless there are further discussions, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye. Julian voting no.
Okay.
And Mark in the chat.
Okay. Maybe it's better. Let's just do a roll call on that, because this is, I'm going to start with Corey, yay or nay?
Yay.
Eldon, if you can hear us, yay or nay?
Yay.
Joel Rader, yay or nay? Joel is a yay. Julian is a nay. Can you confirm that, Julian?
Yep. Did you say my name?
Yes.
Oh, I am a no.
Okay. And Mark? Mark Voxon, please. Yes, Mark is a yes. And Russ Hanson
Yes.
and Tom Krabnoff. Tom, yes, yea or nay?
Yes.
Okay. And I believe that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 yeas and 1 nay. Did I count that correctly? 6 yea and 1 nay. So motion passed. And we will look into that, and we will get that information back to the commission as soon as we can. So now the next thing, if I bring some names back, if I get some names by next week, can I have a motion to set up a meeting for next Wednesday at 8 a.m.? I don't know if that works with the schedule here. I guess I should check first.
That would work for me.
Dan, anything on the schedule here? Okay. So, I don't know if I need a motion for next week, because as chair, I can just set a meeting. So we'll set a meeting for next Wednesday at 8 a.m. again, in same format. So, okay. Looks like we've went through that item. Appointment of the commission, annual meeting. So, any other new business? And I do have one item, if anybody else wants to bring it up. One item I have is what I was asked to by some other citizens and some boards. Back in February of 2019, the council approved a per diem and expense policy for the elected officials. And the questions I had on that were, and I don't think anybody disagrees if, well, first of all, it was on a consent agenda. The item there would be, in my book, would anything to do with reimbursement or pay to a council person, should that even be allowed on the consent agenda? Should that be a public, to get some public input from that? The other thing I would have on that is, from what it looks like, their per diem covers if they come to an EDA meeting, an airport committee, any of the committees that the city has set up, they get paid a per diem, even if it's held in the council chambers. I don't think anybody has an issue with if there's a meeting in Minneapolis or out of town that they get paid a per diem, but if, say the council person is the liaison for the EDA meeting, they're getting paid their per diem, but is it right that the rest of the commission, the ones that they appoint, not get paid a per diem? Say if you're on say you're on the EDA or an arts commission, you're doing it as a volunteer, and the council person actually gets paid to show up to that same meeting. Is that right? I don't think that's a charter thing. I think, to be honest, other than the fact I don't know if they should be able to vote for any kind of compensation by themselves. I mean, without, especially on a consent agenda. So I promised I would bring that up, and I do have the information on that too. And again, I don't have an issue with being paid per diems, but I think it's kind of unfair to the rest of the citizens that spend their time if they're not getting compensated the same way. So any feedback on that?
I'd like to address that.
Okay, go ahead, Tom.
I'm on like state boards for the American Legion, the VFW, and I travel out of pocket, and I'm unpaid for all these boards, and I mean, so if you run for an elected position and, you know, for argument's sake, the pay is $1,000 a month, and if you vote yourself to get a, you know, a stealth raise without the citizens knowing, you know, that sounds a little nefarious to me, because I mean, I don't think it's very genuine to do that, because per diem can rack up quite fast, and and I believe it's not reportable on income taxes either. So that's something that smells a little fishy to me, and you know, because I volunteer for all these things, and I know what I'm getting paid. I'm not getting paid anything. So if you're elected to a seat for $1,000 and you vote to give yourself an extra $400 a month raise, you know, via per diem, I don't like that. I just want to go on the record saying that.
And I agree, and I think, to be honest too, that's might be a question for an attorney too. I mean, the fact that it was on a consent agenda, and I went back to that 2019 meeting, and just to confirm that nobody pulled it off consent, and nobody did. That's a payment in kind, and I don't think that, I'd have to look at the charter again, but if they vote for a raise or any other kind of compensation, it can't take effect until after the next election. That, I believe, is in the city charter. Does that just refer to salary, or does that refer to these per diems? Again, the per diem is $50 per meeting. And that was voted on, not really voted, it was pulled on a consent agenda at $50. What if they had said $500? What if they had said $1,000? That's kind of a big deal. I mean, and especially when it's on a consent agenda. So I would hope that would be a policy that the council themselves could clean up without us digging into the charter too much, because I think the charter already, in a way, states that, how they can increase their pay, or how there's a process of how it can be done. And I'm not sure, I would think this would follow that same process. And no, Mark, I see your statement here. Are you proposing the charter be changed? I don't know if it should be changed for that. Like I said, I would, maybe it's a housekeeping thing that council can do themselves and make sure it's not on a consent agenda. Or maybe we do change the charter which says any type of compensation to council people cannot be on any type of consent agenda, or must have a public forum available for that. Any other thoughts on that from anyone?
Would the average citizen have a, you know, I mean, is there a resource available online to see what, you know, the council people are making on the per diem? You know, I mean, is there access to that? I mean, the salary is public record, and is the per diem public record, is my question.
Yes, it is. And I have that, Tom, and I can send that to everyone too. It's Resolution 2019-0211-L. And it's just a one-page thing, and I'll make sure that gets included in our email out to everyone.
It's $50 a meeting. I mean, I probably do 30 meetings a month, and I mean, you know, volunteer meetings. And I don't begrudge anybody for getting paid, but you know, if you sign up for one thing and then vote yourself for something else where you're going to substantially increase your pay, that's not cool.
No, and it's, well, without any public comment, especially on the consent agenda thing. And the other thing, like I alluded to earlier, the fact that if a person from Ward 1 nominates somebody for the Arts Commission, and that person volunteers the time to come here, but that person from Ward 1 sits in on that meeting, they get paid, but that person that they nominated gets no compensation at all. I mean, so I think, in my mind, everybody gets compensated the same on those type of meetings, or nobody gets compensated. So, I mean, it should be one way or the other. It shouldn't be, you shouldn't be able to pick who gets to be compensated.
Chair?
Yep.
I question if this is a charter commission issue. This is an operational issue. We're reviewing the budget now. I would suggest if there are citizens that are concerned about it, to make that comment with the city council and to take it up there.
Okay. Well,
Per diems are that's an operational issue.
Okay. Well, again, and from Mark here, if anybody can't read it, it says, "We are not enforcers of the council action, are we?" No, but I think it needed to be brought up to their attention. And again, you say it's an operational issue, but again, should that be allowed to be on a consent agenda? Especially, they said $50 per meeting. They could have said 500. They could have said 5,000. We don't, I mean, if it's on a consent agenda and there's no a chance for any public input, I'm not sure that's right. So in that case, it would be a charter issue, I believe. Any other comments? From Mark, 3,000-foot charter view. Again, I'm not always concerned with what's going on with this council or this commission. I'm looking at this charter has served us for so many years. If people start pushing buttons and take advantage of things that maybe aren't clarified, or what happens 30 years from now, it's just, you hate to try to clarify everything in the charter. In some ways, maybe being a little vague isn't all that bad, but I think it's an item that we can discuss as a commission. I think that's one of our duties, is to discuss those things. Whether we act on them or not, or that's entirely up to the commission, whoever the commission is, whether it's this commission or a commission 10 years from now. I think that's our duty, is to have discussions like this. Any other comments? Okay, if none, our next meeting will be next Wednesday. If something happens where we can't get enough feedback from any attorneys to look at, then we will let you know, and we will probably pass on that meeting, but we'll let you know as soon as possible on that. So if nothing else, we will be adjourned. Thank you all.
Everybody have a good day.
Yep.